Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome back to Kitchen Table Meta. So today we have a really awesome video. We're talking about the brand new Draft Box 3 leaders that just came out today. Super excited about them. Like I said, guys, this is by far my favorite time to play this game. It's when all the new cards are coming out. We have the Draft Box leaders. We have the new Set 5 cards coming out. It's just so many cards coming out all at once, and it's really exciting to theory craft and think about, you know, what we can build with these new stuff, and it's just super, super exciting. So these Draft Box leaders are actually awesome. Maybe, I think, some of the best leaders that we've ever seen in a Draft Box. They're just so cool and so unique. So we're gonna, jump right in. But before we do, I want to talk a little bit about the rating system. I know it's been a little while since I made a ranking video, so I want to talk a little bit about how I do the rankings. And so what I do is I use a 3-star system. 1 to 3 stars is what I rate a card. 1-star card is a card that I don't think is going to be that good. It might see a little bit of fringe play, but it's not going to see much more than that. Maybe some special cases, maybe sideboards. 2 stars are solid cards. They're cards that you're going to see in a lot of different decks that are definitely playable and just very, very good cards. And then 3 stars, of course, is your staple cards. It's your cards, that are fantastic, like Sensu Bean. That's going to be, anytime you can use them, you absolutely are going to. They're just all around just an amazing card. So, all right, so let's get into the first leader here. I am super excited about this leader. We're going to start off with the red leader, and that is Vegeta Baby. So Vegeta Baby says, auto, when this card attacks a leader card, draw 1 card. Active main once per turn, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. Choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and it loses minus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode, and flip this card over. So this card does a lot on the front side, and honestly, like I said, guys, we know that red leaders right now are a little lackluster. We've never had a red leader win a regional, and I think that this leader goes, it's definitely a step up from what we expect from red leaders to do. They do a lot of really cool things. I'm gonna kind of break these down one at a time. So the first thing is the auto. When this card attacks a leader card, draw 1 card. Now, we see this on a lot of other leaders, and I think the important thing when you're analyzing this ability is if you can draw 2 cards off of this effect, it's usually, as good as Awakening and drawing 2 cards, right? It's like on par. The trouble, with this game though, is, used to, we had to really be careful when we awakened our opponent, right? We didn't want to awaken too fast. We want to make sure we can deal with it. But now, since our opponent is awakening as fast as we are, and sometimes faster than we are, you're actually just attacking 10k into 15k, and you're not giving them any value, if that makes sense. And so, a lot of the times, this ability does net you 2 cards, and it's actually a lot better than it was previously. Which is pretty cool. Now the second part is the really exciting part of the card, and that is active main once per turn. Choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand, and then once you do, you choose up to 1 of your opponent's cards, and it loses minus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn, which is really important. And so obviously self-awakening, that's number 1. If you're a leader can self-awaken, that's always going to be better than if they can't, right? SS3 can self-awaken, that's very important. Ginyu, Vegeta, these are all leaders that we've seen a lot of, and primarily it's because they can self-awaken, right? You can get to that awaken side, you can get that card advantage or energy advantage, really quick, and then you just spiral out of control once you're awakened. Vegeta obviously has that ability, but what's really exciting about this card is he also gives the card minus 5,000 power for the turn, which is really, really important. A allows you to pressure cards, key cards that you need to. For example, Goten is a card right now that has 10k power. You can knock that down to 5k, and then it makes it a lot harder for your opponent to protect it, and you can pressure those cards. Also, going into set 5, we have a lot of cards that are silver bullet type cards. They're cards that they come into play and they do something, have an active main ability that's very important. For example, Bulma, Dende, we have Comi. These are all new cards that are coming out that this card can kill before your opponent can activate if they want to play them on curve. And so by just playing this leader, you have now, made your opponent have to wait and play, Dende on 3, where he can play Dende and then use the ability, for example. And so, that makes this card very cool. It also has the ability to kill Kabbas, Gohans, and those things as well. So this is a very multi-use ability that is very, very good. And I am a huge fan of the minus 5,000 mechanic. I love it. I think the minus power thing is very important in this game, and we need to see more of it. I like what it does. Obviously, this is going to be weak to barrier and those kind of things, but that's nothing new to these type of abilities. It's just a very, very powerful card that allows him to self-awaken, and it's just, in my opinion, it's a home run. It's a very, very powerful ability. And then we move on to his awakening step, which is when your life is at 4 or less, choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode, and flip this card over. This is actually, I'm surprised to see this ability still being around. I thought this was going to be something that was just for last set, and we wouldn't see that much anymore. But, it seems like it's something they like, and they're going to stick with, which is cool. I think that this ability is definitely better in a more aggro, formats, where, you can awaken and then ready your 2 energy for defense, but you can also use it as offense too. It's also kind of a double-edged sword too, because when you're against aggro, sometimes they can make you awaken before you really want to, which is kind of awkward. But I think whenever this ability works correctly, this awaken ability works correctly, it can oftentimes be better than drawing 2 cards. We've seen, leaders like Gohan, Universe 7, really, kind of pull this off. Also, the Frieza, Universe 7 Frieza, those are kind of the first 2 leaders we saw really capitalize on this ability. Pan obviously does a great job on it too. It just sets up these really explosive turns. What worries me about this though is I think Vegeta Baby is going to be this weird kind of control-y deck, and I think this ability doesn't really feel right with this card, but it's not a terrible ability. Okay, so we're going to move on to the backside of Vegeta Baby, and that is Saiyan Power Vegeta Baby. This art's awesome. Man, I love the art of this game. I just get so excited about the art. All right, so he has two abilities, but they're very simple abilities, but they're insane. First one's auto. When this card attacks, draw a card. The second is active main. Once per turn, choose one of your battle cards, and it loses minus 15,000 power for the duration of the turn. If you do so, choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, and they lose minus 10,000 power for the duration of the turn. Insane ability. This is such a cool ability. This really sets up, like I said, this is a really cool thing for those control-y type decks, even for mid-range decks. It's such a cool ability. One of my favorite things about this is that if you want to play a more defensive Vegeta Baby deck, you can just run 20k blockers and then use this ability on your blocker that you're probably not going to attack with that turn anyway, and then it's really no downside, right? You've really not done anything, but you've pressured 2 of their cards. You can use this to kill 2 Gotens just straight out. It's just such a cool ability, and it's one of those abilities that I think is kind of unique, and like I said, I love the minus 10,000 ability, and in my opinion, this ability is just insane. I think it's so cool, and I'm really excited to play around with it and kind of brew with it. Obviously, the auto ability in this card, when this card attacks, draw a card, is very standard now. That's something that's almost every leader, but it's just really cool. It's still very important. It still fits that kind of control strategy, and this ability, this active main ability, is going to allow Vegeta Baby to pressure cards that he normally wouldn't be able to. It's similar to kind of like the Vados leader, if that makes sense, except it's in reverse, right? You don't get buffed by 10k when you're attacking something. You instead reduce it. So you can really this leader can kill 20k. They can take a 20k, knock it to 10, and still pressure with their leader. It's insane. So this leader I think is going to be fantastic, and I'm going to actually give this leader 3 stars. Man, I'm a little over ambitious, but I really think this leader is going to make some waves if the format stays at all aggro-y. And I think the way that the set 5 is looking is it's trying to slow down the format, and I think if we get back to like those set 1, set 2 days, the good old days, this leader is just ability is just going to be great to have in those kind of grindy mirror matches, and it's just going to be fantastic. So okay, going to the next leader, and that's my boy Krillin. Krillin is the blue leader for the sets, and he's actually pretty cool. I was kind of dreading the day Krillin came out. I always thought that they would kind of make a kind of a joking leader, or make it kind of like a Hercule type leader, but they didn't. They made him an actual leader, and I'm actually pretty excited about it. So we have Krillin auto. When this card attacks a leader card, you may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do so, draw 1 card. Awaken. When your life is at 4 or less, choose up to 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode and flip this card over. So there's a couple things on the front side I want to talk about. And honestly, on the front side, he may look a little weak. And I mean, he is. I mean, to be fair, he is a little weak on the front side. But his first ability, when this card attacks a leader card, you may choose 1 card in your life, add to your hand. If you do, draw a card. It's pretty ridiculous if you really think about it. On the front side, I mean, I guess at first glance, it may look like a little bit of a downside, like, oh, I have to take a life, this stinks, and I draw a card. Everyone else can just attack leaders, and they just get to draw a card. Why do I have to take a life? But it's actually really cool. So essentially, every time Krillin attacks a leader, he can draw 2 cards. That's insane. That's a lot of card advantage on the front side. And he also self-awakens himself, which is something we talked about with Vegeta Baby. It's very important to be able to self-awaken yourself in any slow format, which again, like I'm saying, I'm pretty confident we're going into a slower format with set 5, and being able to awaken yourself is the key to a lot of these leaders. And so he gets card advantage off his attack and gets to self-awaken. 1 attack equals 2 cards. That's pretty absurd. Now his awaken ability says when your life is at 4 or less, choose up to 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode and flip this card over. They may sound really weird because you know, everyone else gets to untap 2. Why does he only get to untap 1? I really believe it's because the card advantage on the front is actually insane, and they had to try to balance it some way. I love it. I think it's going to be fine. Obviously, it is a downside, but I think the card advantage is going to make up for it. And I think with this leader, you know, you're probably going to be waking pretty quickly, and so I think the 1 energy is probably going to be a little bit more on par with what you want to do. Though I can see it being, you know, obviously not as good as the 2 energy. Okay, let's move on to his Awakened side, which is insane. I love this. This is probably my favorite Awakened leader. Stormfist Krillin. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. Insane. Auto, at the end of your turn, draw 1 card. What? Active main once per turn, choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. This card gains plus 5,000 power and critical for the duration of the turn. And this is what I'm talking about him wanting to awaken as fast as possible. They've made Krillin this little like aggro deck, and I think it's sick. He's kind of like the new blue Vegeta in a way to where he can awaken really quick, and then once he's awakened, he can start pressuring with critical attacks. I think it's going to be actually really, really, really cool. He gets so many cards a turn that he's going to actually be able to ditch that card. He gets a lot of cards on his front side, and he gets a lot of cards, you know, after on his awakened side. And so I think he's just going to have actually a lot of card advantage, and discarding a card to gain 5,000 critical is going to be actually pretty possible with him. Unlike you know, the red Vegeta that we tried. It was the Majin Vegeta that did the same kind of effect. That was kind of lackluster. I actually think this is pretty possible. Also, he has, you know, he's in blue, which is a great card, a great color for these aggro decks. They have access to Senzu Bean, Trunks, a lot of these other cards that allow them to extend their turns and really apply a lot of pressure on their opponent. I just think this leader is super, super cool, and honestly, probably my favorite leader of the draft box. Never thought I would say it. Never thought I would say that Krillin's going to be my favorite leader, but I actually think he might be. I love drawing cards, and he gets to draw 2 on both sides. That's sick, and I'm super excited about it. And so for those reasons, I'm going to give our boy Krillin 3 stars. I hate to, but the little bald dude did it. I actually think he's super, super cool, and I think he's going to apply himself in a bunch of different situations. I think he can, you know, be played a little bit controlly if you want, but I think primarily he's going to be your go-to aggro leader in the blue color. All right, next up, we have the green leader, Son Goku. Thank God there's a Goku leader, right? There's not enough of those. Thank God we have another one, number 67. Here we go. Auto, when this card attacks the leader card, you may choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If you do so, draw 1 card. Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, choose up to 2 of your energy, switch them to active mode, and flip this card over. So the first thing I want to say about this card is it looks very familiar to Krillin's front side. In fact, it's identical, except for one thing, and that is he actually gets to untap 2 energy, and Krillin only got to untap 1. So I'm not sure the balancing decision for this. I'm not sure, you know, if they thought drawing 2 cards in the front was very, very powerful, and like you needed to kind of dial back that awakening ability, why they thought that was, you know, possible for Krillin and not possible for Son Goku, I'm not sure, but they didn't. So here we go. So he gets the same front side as Krillin, but gets to untap 2. Very powerful, very good. I actually like this little front side. I like being able to draw 2 cards. I think it's going to, you know, kind of like I said, self-awakening is really important, but I think also kind of, you know, fixing draws are going to be really important too. You know, being able to draw those 2 cards a turn is going to really be able to fix your hand and get it to where you want it to be. Just super excited about these. I think they're really, really cool front sides. Not much else to say about this. You know, otherwise it's pretty default to what Krillin was. And the back side is, it's insane. Here we go. Full-size power Son Goku. Actually, the art, by the way, is insane on this card. I'm not a fan of the Goku cards. I'm a little over them. But this card just looks insane. This art in this game is just insane to me. Full-size power Son Goku. Permanent. When your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card's attack cannot or can't be negated. Auto. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. And this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. Okay. Auto, when this card attacks, if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card gains quadruple strike for the duration of the turns. This card does insane, like this guy does 4 things on the backside. So that's, first of all, just to me a red flag. It's like 4 things, that's insane. That's a lot. And the thing is, you know, all of these things are really, really good. So let's talk about them. First off, permanent. When your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card's attack can't be negated. That's a pretty cool little ability. You know, if you have 4 things in the play, you can't negate my attack. Really neat. I like that a lot. I think it's really cool. It doesn't really have too much relevance as far as like cool things you can do with it or anything. But one thing that came to mind for me was if you attack, like if your opponent has 4 things in the play, you can actually attack with your leader first into a Flying Nimbus, and you don't have to worry about that, right? So you can actually attack first, get some, knowledge, draw that extra card. And I see a lot of people on stream when I'm commentating these regionals, they always kind of get blown out by that. I've seen the best players and I've seen the worst players get blown out by attacking with their leader first into Flying Nimbus. And I like that this leader can kind of protect yourself from that. Again, I don't think it's enough on its own to make this leader the best leader or anything. I think it's a cool little tip and cool little thing to kind of bring attention to. Second thing, Auto. When this card attacks, actually, one more thing I want to talk about with that. Since he can't be negated, one thing that I think players are doing better, and I think that's something that is really important right now, especially when you're against these type of leaders, is that they have Sensu Bean to untap energy. And I've seen a lot of players, essentially, they tap out their energy, and then they'll attack. They won't tap out, but they'll go down to 1 energy, and they'll attack with their leader or one of their battle cards. And their opponent, the more experienced players will see that they're trying to untap an energy with Sensu Bean, so they'll negate the attack. And I think that's something that's cool that this leader can do, is he can save you in those type of situations. You always know that this guy's attack's going to go through, so you can play Sensu Bean off him and extend your plays if needed. So that's another cool little thing that this ability would do. Obviously, it's just a nice bonus. Next up, Auto. When this card attacks, draw 1 card. And this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of your turn. Guys, this is an insane ability. And obviously, I played a lot in the Soul Striker meta, and Soul Striker was an insane leader to deal with because he went to 20k power when he attacked. But he had to have 5 energy first when he did that. And so, there's a lot of reasons why Soul Strikers fell off, but, getting to 5 energy to do that was one of the reasons, right? You had to, use Objection, try to get there as fast as you can. This leader can do it every time he's awakened. And that is, I'm telling you guys, that's such a big thing. You can pressure so many cards with that. You can pressure, I'm trying to think of any card that's played that's over 20k, and there's a couple, but not that many. You know what I mean? So you can almost pressure every card that's played right now. You can pressure hits. You can pressure blockers, big 20k blockers that sometimes are hard to get off the field. You can really put a lot of pressure on your opponent's leader if you need to. Like, it's just insane how much pressure plus 5k gives you with absolutely no requirements. You just awaken, and there I am. It's busted. It's so good, guys. Such a good ability. And then finally, Auto. When this card attacks, if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card gains quadruple strike for the duration of the turn. So if your opponent has 4 or more battle cards in play, this card gains quadruple strike. So if your opponent has 4 cards in play, and they're not blockers, because the blockers will just block the attack, but this guy goes to 20k in quadruple strike for the attack. Guys, that is nuts. It's so good. This leader is going to put so much pressure on it. I'm telling you, this is going to be, I think, the best green leader we've ever seen, and I honestly think one of the best leaders, I would say the best leader in the draft box. Hands down, the best leader in the draft box. Does so many things. Such a good leader. Good on the front side. Very good on the, insane on the back side. Just a fantastic leader, guys. I'm going to give this guy 3 stars. I would give him more stars if I could. I'm telling you guys, this leader is going to be insane. Has the ability to get shut down negates, which is going to be really important. Has the ability to get quadruple strike and gets 5,000 power to pressure the board. There's nothing this guard can do, and it's just going to be insane to see him being played. Okay, and finally, we're going to move up to my boy, Sun Goten, the yellow leader. Here we go. Auto. When this card attacks a leader card, draw 1 card. Active main. Choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. Choose up to 1 yellow extra card from your deck and add it to your hand and negate this skill for the duration of the game. Awaken when your life is at 4 or less. Choose up to 1 of your energy and switch it to active mode and flip this card over. I think it's hilarious that these cards keep getting this, like, choose up to 1 up to 1 energy, and then Goku's over there like, nah, I don't play by the rules. Still do too. Okay, so we'll break this down one at a time. Like I said, attacking a leader card, drawing a card, that's a fine ability. We've talked about how that's fine. If you can get 2 draws off of it, it's very good. If you have to awaken too soon, it can feel kind of bad, especially with this guy where you only untap 1. You're not going to get your value like you can with some of the other leaders, but it's fine because of his active main. It kind of makes up for that. So we'll talk about that real quick. Active main: choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. Choose up to 1 yellow extra card from your deck and add it to your hand and negate this skill for the duration of the game. Very cool skill, something we haven't seen a lot of. Tutoring for different things. Obviously, we have like Planet Vegeta and those type of things that do this type of effect. And every time that effect's in the game, it's really good. It's just a really neat thing. We haven't really seen any new yellow extra cards in this set because the yellow cards haven't been spoiled yet. But just going on some of the yellow cards that we currently have that we can go for. We can go for Planet Vegeta. That's an extra card that we can search for. We can go for Flying Nimbus. We can go for, also we can go for Battering Laser as well. Those are the three that kind of stand out to me. That'll be 3 cards you want to go for, you want to search for. It's a really cool ability, and I think it's one that could be very powerful at certain times. Obviously, being able to say, you know what, I really need to negate this turn. I need to make sure, like, I'm playing against aggro, I need a Flying Nimbus, I can get it. That's fantastic. That's obviously very good. Hey, I'm playing against a control deck, I need to go get Battering Laser so they can't counter my important attack. That's super good, right? That's obviously very, very good. I am a little worried, though, that it might not be good enough compared to these other leaders. These other guys do some really, really powerful things. Though this is Goten's front side, so it's definitely one of the best front sides out of all these. So it's definitely really cool. But once we get in the back side, I'll talk a little bit more about some of my concerns with this card. But also, it's also important to note is if you have those things, this is something that's kind of cool that I've seen happen before too. Is a lot of times players will have, like, their Flying Nimbuses in hand, or they'll have their cards in hand that they want to play, but they don't have the energy to play it, or with Flying Nimbus's case, they don't have the card to discard. With this, you can even use it to go fetch a yellow energy, so that way next turn you can charge your energy and have that up so you can counter when you need to, or you can go search for a yellow card that you can ditch to Flying Nimbus, for example. So this is going to have multiple uses. I like abilities that, do one thing that's like, it's very obvious what it does, but you can use it and tweak it to do some things that are kind of off of the realm that maybe other people don't think of. And I think this is a perfect card for that, and I think it's really, really, really cool. All right, and so going to Staunch Striker Sun Goten, the awakened side of Mr. Goten. Let's see what he does. Auto, when this card attacks, draw 1 card. Pretty standard. Auto, at the beginning of your opponent's main phase, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in your drop area. If you do so, this card gains plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn and negate this skill for the duration of the game. Now, this ability really cool. We've seen this ability on the Red Goku. If you guys watched the last ARG stream, there was a player that was playing, I'm sorry, I don't know his name, that was playing a Red Goku leader, and we saw on his awakened side the Red Goku leader has the ability to pitch a card, and he gets the Sensu being effect for the whole time for the rest of the turn. And I'll tell you, Hirudegan, these SS3 decks were really having a hard time getting through that wall. And I like that Goten has that ability too, because I think they're trying to set Goten up to be that kind of defensive leader with his front ability able to go get defensive cards, and then his backside clearly being able to do that ability. I just don't like that it's once per game. I don't think I don't think this is an ability that's powerful enough to limit to once per game, and it really, really kind of to me it makes this leader, I'm not gonna say unplayable, but it definitely makes it not as good as it could have been. I think if he would have had that Red Goku leader ability, it would have been neat. I think it would have been something that would have been really cool. I'm not losing hope on this Goten. I do think the tutor effect on the front side is very powerful, and I think doing this once a game can definitely make you win situations where you normally wouldn't. You can use this and use Sensu beans and stuff, but I really think that compared to all the other leaders that are currently, and especially the ones in this draft box, little Goten I think is going to get the 1 star from me. I think it's a very fringe leader and one that we're probably not going to see played very often, and if we do, it's going to be in a very specific type of deck, and not something that can be splashed and played in a lot of different decks. What you really expect from those 2 and 3 star leaders. So all right, guys, well, that's it for the draft box leader review. I'm also going to do the red and black cards as well. I'll have those out as soon as I can. Guys, I'm really excited to get back into making these content. I'm so excited I could be making more content for you guys. It feels like I'm back home, right? I'm back where I want to be. It feels great to be interacting with you guys again. Love you guys very much, and you guys have just been nothing but supportive. So, guys, thank you so much. Also, guys, don't forget that coming up very, very soon, next week, in fact, is the Atlanta, Georgia Regional. Please stop by and see me. I'll be there casting. I'll be there all week. So please come by and see me. Love to see you guys. Love to hang out with you guys. It's always a highlight of my day when I get to interact with you guys and talk to you guys. So guys, thank you so much for watching. And like always, we'll see you next time.